Hello, Monarch fans. Welcome back to the Hudson Homers podcast. I've got CB here. I've got Coach Finwood here, and we're coming to you on a victory Monday after taking 2 out of 3 from Charlotte. CB with the fist bump. How are you feeling
Yeah.
today, CB?
Yeah, like we were saying a minute ago, it's always fun to talk after you win. It's always fun. It's a little more fun when you win. So I'm glad to see the guys. You know, the hard work was paying off. The message that Finney kept giving them. You know, it's about the process, not necessarily the result, but the result is nice. So just showing that
Yeah.
you keep putting that good process in, you get the result.
About to say we
Yeah.
have either been tied or in the lead in the seventh inning or later in every game this season. Great to see it pay off with a win. I'm sure the guys are pumped, but Coach Finwood, tell us about the trip down to good old Charlotte.
Well, we got out of good old snowy Norfolk on Thursday about noon. Thank God we had to actually shovel underneath the tires to get the bus out of the parking lot to get out of here, which anybody that was here can understand that with as much snow as we got. And we weren't able to work out down there because it was really cold there, and they got a little snow on Thursday. So, but Friday was nice. The sun was out all 3 days. It was actually a really enjoyable weekend. Worked up a little sweat throwing BP, which that hadn't happened since the fall. So felt like baseball. And, our Charlotte games are all one version of the same thing, it seems like. We've had so many close games with them. And Woody, their coach, said that was – I think Saturday was our 100th meeting all time between the two schools in baseball. And we've played 23 or 24 times since he's been the head coach there. And so we obviously it's become a really good rivalry and a good series to keep playing either here or there. And, to beat them down there in the series is a good thing. I mean, that'll look good. Certainly later in the year, they're tough at home, and it's a good. They'll be a top 100 RPI team. They always are, and so I was proud of our guys. It didn't start out great. I mean, it started out great, and then it didn't. What do they say? It was great until it wasn't. We came out swinging the bats really well on Friday, and had some bunch of big hits. Kind of jumped up on them. We got 6 in the second. Got their starter out of there. Zach Lead hit a big 2-run home run. The guys were swinging the bats really well. We were up and down the lineup, 2 hits from Morales, 1 from Waters, 3 from George, 3 from Zadalis, a home run from Leet, 2 from Scotty Young, 1 from Kyle Edwards, 1 from Evan Holman. So up and down the lineup, we hit the ball. We had 15 hits. And we jumped up on them 7-1. And, it just Ben gave up a couple home runs on off-speed pitches that he just left up. And, it's short down both lines there. So that kind of got them back in the game. And we didn't, the story of that game, though, is we didn't play good defense. Very uncharacteristically, Kyle Edwards made 3 errors, which, he goes months without doing that. And, and they probably cost Ben being in that game. It's part of how baseball's, a synergistic sport. He had to end up throwing a lot more pitches than he probably wanted to and needed to. And so, we had to get him out, and they got back in it. And, Hubble came in and didn't have a good day. And then Kellen Davis, Bailey Metello, Nick Sulpizio, they kept us in it, into the 12th. And Tyler Stott came in the 12th, and his first appearance in 2 years. And, he threw the ball pretty well. He just had some bad luck. 2 outs, guy hits a fly ball.
Yeah.
It's twilight, new lights, blah, blah, blah. And Scotty Young lost it. And so we get left on the field again. And, the guys were so disappointed because they were definitely ready to play. But I told them there are points in a baseball game that winning teams take advantage of. We were up 7-1, had 2 innings in a row where we had the leadoff guy on second base with no outs. We didn't get him over. One of the innings, we got a 2-out hit to score him, but that's winning baseball. We had a chance to push bunt a run in. We didn't get that done. We had a chance to make that a 9 or 10-1 game, which certainly feels very different. And give their their closer credit. He threw 4 innings for them, Joseph Taylor, and he was fantastic. I mean, only 2 hits, no runs, struck out 8. And, so that was the ball game. So after the game, we just said, look, guys, this is what it takes. Look at yourself in the mirror. What can I do better team? In every way, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, no one's going to feel sorry for you. You've had a chance to win every game. Maybe you just got to grit your teeth a little more and play a little bit better when it matters the most, and you can get over that hump. So Dylan Brown out. Anything you want? Friday game?
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
go ahead,
go for it,
CB.
Gary.
I was
Gary,
going to say for Tyler Stott to come in a situation where he hasn't thrown in 2 years, he gets a strikeout, really probably pitched enough to at least keep the game going there. I thought that was pretty impressive for him to be thrown in a high leverage situation where a walk-off can end it.
Yeah, and it's whoever we put in there, you're going to probably say that about this time of the year because it's all new guys that haven't done it, and so we all feel exactly like that. Got to run them out there, and we got to find out. And I think that is a good. After CB talks about Friday, is a good segue into the next 2 games.
Yeah, and Sulpizio, I mean, Stott, I agree about Stott, and Sulpizio did great coming back after, maybe not having his best outing the week before against Tech. That was nails. I mean, he was exactly what you needed. Yeah, and Tyler, fantastic. I mean, you got what you wanted, and just like I said, bad baseball luck. But like you just pointed out, grit your teeth, and you're going to learn how to win. And it seems like it rolls right into what they did on Saturday.
Well, yeah, and you get, baseball's can come down to who's on the mound, right? And our guy on the mound was really good again Saturday, Dylan Brown. I mean, 8 innings, 2 hits, 13 strikeouts, no runs, 2 walks. He was fantastic. 107 pitches. I'm an English major, but I think that's about 13 an inning, which is amazing. And so he could have went back out there for the 9th. We debated even sending him out there for the 8th, but he was adamant about it. Good, and he didn't have any stress on him. There were no stressful innings. The first couple he had, a couple guys on, but he retired 16 in a row at one point in that game, and he was just in complete command, man. It was really fun to watch, and not just with the fastball, he was pitching, like adding, subtracting. The changeup was good, the breaking ball was good. He was really, really on point. And so, and then TJ, gets a 2-out, 2 RBI single with 2 strikes, and then it's a 2-out, 2-strike home run, 2 RBI homer to get us up 4-0. And it was good to get him back in the lineup. He was sick. He had strep the opening weekend. Didn't feel good. And so he's just getting back over that. So he was the big hero offensively. Only 6 hits, and they only had 3. We brought in Hunter Baines, who throws hard, and he got an out on the first batter, and then he just kind of overcooked his grits. Hunter's still a work in progress mentally in terms of figuring out what matters. He likes to look at the gun and see how hard he throws.
Yeah.
And, at the same time, he walked 2 guys and hit a guy. And all of a sudden we look up and, it's 1 out and bases loaded. And a run in. We bring in Marco Lavari. He gets a ground ball that we don't make a play on at third, which was disappointing because it wasn't a hard play. And talked to Tyler Zadalis about it. He was a little, in between what he wanted to do on that ball. And again, it's learning how to win. You're up 3 runs, just take an out. Get an out. Any out is good. And so that's part of the process. But then to Marco's credit, he struck the next 2 guys out. And, struck the guy out to end the game. I thought that was, defining moments, whatever you want to call them. There's moments in the season that can really help a young player's confidence. And that certainly seemed like it could be one for Marco. The team needed him right there. We blow that one, and, man, we're going, all right, who do we go to? Like, these guys – that kind of thing. And now he showed us that he's one of the guys maybe we can count on at the end. The breaking ball was really good. He was tough, and that was huge for us. So we get out of there with a hard-fought 4-2 win. And I always tell the guys after the first win of the season, my old college coach used to say, well, boys, after we won our first game, whenever that was, he said, we can't lose them all now.
That's exactly what I said. That's funny.
Yeah. And so I always say that. And in fact, Kyle Edwards looked at me and said, hey, Coach, we ain't going to lose them all now. Yeah. So that was good. You could see a sense of relief, on the guys' faces, and that was what we wanted right there. So then we come into Sunday, playing for the series. You're going to have a lot of Sunbelt series like that. It was a beautiful day. And we both starting pitchers were throwing the ball really well. Their kid Cribbs, I thought was very good.
Yeah.
Mixing, and the strike zone was very liberal. Let me just say that as well. It was one of the lowest.
I'm glad you said it. I was gonna say it sucked.
Well, Kyle Edwards got struck out on a ball that was in the other batter's box, and then we saw that.
Yeah, there were a lot of balls in the other batter's box.
I couldn't believe it was one of the lowest grades we've seen on a TrackMan umpires report that I've ever seen. So he wasn't good.
I believe it.
But anyway, you got to fight that. I mean, you're going to have those guys in both teams, and Blake was pitching great, man. And we hit the 3-run. TJ hits the 3-run home run just inside the right field foul pole, put us up.
Obliterated
3.
that ball.
He killed it, and Blake went out and he hit 2 guys, and he just couldn't finish that inning. He got 2 outs. We're trying to get him to work out of some jams because he's going to need to learn how to do that, and he just couldn't get. He only gave up 2 hits, but the 6 walks are what got him, and 2 hit batters, so 8 free batters. And then the relievers we brought in, combined to. In that inning, we hit 3 guys and walked through. We gave them 6 free. They got 1 hit and scored 5
all
runs.
with 2 outs.
All with 2 outs, and that was disappointing. That's something we got to clean up, certainly. We talked about that after the game, and they added 1 in the 7th, and so it's 6-3. We brought in Alex Hunt in the 8th with 1 out just to get some work in, because Alex is a guy with a good arm that has been very up and down in our scrimmages. Stuff's great. It just hadn't been in the zone enough. And he had a clean bottom of the 8th, struck 2 guys out. And then we come up in the 9th, and, Paul Keys, who I worked for 6 years, an ODU alum, and he used to always say, man, sometimes in baseball you can play 1 good inning and win a game. He goes, especially if that inning's the 9th. And I was thinking about him. God bless him. I think about him all the time, but I was thinking about him in the 9th. We lead off with a double off the wall. We did strike out, but then we go double and home run. And all of a sudden you're up 1. Kyle gets up there, hits a 2-strike hanging breaking ball over the left field wall. And now you in the blink of an eye, you look up and you're up 1. We did have some good pinch hit at bats in that inning.
How about Brody Connors
getting his first at bat of his career, draws a walk. Brody's really working hard. He's going to be a good player.
He's
in
a
fact,
dog.
we're probably gonna get in there this week. Yeah, he's a tough kid, and so the thing that happened though is Alex. He's our last guy on the board to pitch that day. That's, I guess, is it. It's his game, and I think the fact that he had already thrown with not really any pressure on him or heat in the 8th. You're down 3. I just got to go out and not suck, and he did great. But he was. All right, man, I feel pretty good. And then he went back in the 9th, ground ball short, strikeout, game over. And it was 93-94. I mean, it looked like a grape coming in there. And I looked in their dugout.
He looked good.
He looked really good. And he's funky, man. Like, it's coming out behind him. And
it comes out weird places. I
tell him it looks like his delivery looks like a broken lawn chair. Like, there's stuff going everywhere,
He's one of those guys, like, when I'm sitting there taking pictures, you have to find like the right angle, otherwise it just it doesn't look like a guy pitching. You're like, his arm is just like hidden by his body. It's weird. It's
very uncomfortable for the hitters. Our hitters said, man, I don't feel good standing in the box. And by the way, it might be at your ear hole too. I looked in their dugout and they were looking at each other going, where is this guy? You know, that kind of thing. So great for Alex. I think the couple, aside from winning the series, Kyle Edwards, after having a rotten day Friday, played great at shortstop on Saturday. And so, I mean, he put on a show. And I got a good story. So, you know, he said his mom called him on Friday night, and he's dejected. He, you know, played poorly. And mom's a retired Marine who's a school teacher in Virginia Beach. And she basically said, you know, what are you doing? Like, every time I look at you, you're moping, you're being selfish. Like, help the team win. Use your personality. Like, stop being a big baby. What a great mom. I was like, man, we all need moms like that, right? She just kicked him right in the butt. And he came out and played his best 2 games of the year, you know, on Saturday and Sunday, and times when we certainly needed it. But the other part of that is, you know, he gets to the park Saturday, and he forgot his gray jersey. And so, you know, on top of having a bad day, now you forgot your jersey. So now I got the ass with him. And, you know, how can, you know, that kind of thing. Well, he puts on number 15, and I'm thinking, well, that could be good. One of the best shortstops ever played. 15, Zach Rutherford. Maybe that's a good omen. And he played like Rutherford. So he plays great Saturday. We win. I told Hage, I told our assistant coach, Jonathan Hadra, I could bet my house mortgage that he is going to show up in 15 tomorrow in the Hudson Blues. I promise you. If we packed it, he'll be wearing it. Sure enough, he shows up. He goes, hey, we're 15. And I said, dude, it was either sacrifice a chicken or give you number 15. And so I'm assuming he's going to probably be wearing 15 the rest of the year. I would imagine. And if he plays like that, good for him. I'll take it. But
looks good on him.
The little inside stories of superstition that makes baseball so cool and unique. And, you know, a lot of people just, you know, I think those are the fun things to hear about.
We weren't
His
sure.
Mom is right.
Yeah, we weren't sure if it was a jelly donut incident or like some mustard came off a hot dog or what happened there, but good to know there's a little more to it than that.
Yeah, I think Forrest probably been retired for the season. So 15, we'll channel the ghosts of Zach Rutherford, and he sure played like him this Saturday and Sunday. We definitely needed it. So we played much better defense both days. 1 error, no errors, and you know, the guy, you know, the guys, Nick Sulpizio, Kellen Davis, Tyler Stott, Marco Lavari, Alex Hunt, those guys showed some promise out of the bullpen. And that's what we want to see through this first month of the season is and Bailey Matella. Bailey was good this weekend as well, is who's going to be, you know, those guys that you can count on. And that's something that this team has to develop. You know, we think our starters are going to give us a chance, but they're not going to throw 9 innings. And so, you know, I think that's something that's really important. And so we took a big step forward in that regard this weekend. So didn't swing the bats great, you know, other than Friday. And it's something we got to get back to work on. We're certainly capable. And of course, you know, Luke getting hit on the hand and not being in there both days. You know, your preseason all conference guy that's out of the lineup, that can change some things as well. But getting TJ back in there, he showed what he's capable of doing, and hopefully we keep him going.
Yeah, we'll have TJ on with us here in just a little while, but he is currently the home run leader for the Monarchs. He has 2 home runs on the season. Our dollar for dinger count is 5. If you're not watching on YouTube, we do have a little scroller there that will continue to update throughout the year. But I just go back to Dylan Brown on Saturday, being able to stretch out for you this early in the season, giving you 8 innings after an extra inning games on Friday through 107 pitches. I mean, you said if Alex was your last arm that you had planned to throw on Sunday, if Dylan only gives you 5, that gets a little creative, I think, on Sunday for you, right?
Yeah, we're in trouble. We're in trouble for Saturday and Sunday. And it was one of those things where I told Mike, I said, he's working out of his own jams. You know, he needs to throw 100 pitches today. We're not going to ever get a kid hurt. But that needs to be the plan. And a couple different times, we've had good bullpens here the last few years. Mike will be like, "Who you want to get up?" And I'll be like, "Nobody." There's nobody down there that's better than him. So he needs to figure out how to get out of it himself. And that's like the old kind of school thought process, that people don't, really, look at anymore. But I think some of the starters, they've got to learn how to work their way out of jams. Maybe give up one, maybe give up two when you're up by 6, or give up one when you're up by 3, but stay in the game for us. And, so you can start fresh next inning. And that's something is a process to learn because, in the fall, part of it is how we practice. We're always protecting arms, and you have to do that. But you got to put these guys in some stressful situations. Maybe you start with runners on second and third, no outs, and say, "Hey, look, man, if you give up 2 here, that's fine. We're okay. Just don't give up 4." But you can always come back from 1s or 2s. But those are things like Blake had a chance, and this weekend he didn't quite get that done. So, and same thing with Ben on Friday. Like, he had a chance to work out of that 5th and didn't get it done. He got up to his pitch count. So, all those guys have been up to 90 pitches and plus, and they feel good. And we just gotta, stay away from the walks. I think in Blake and Ben's case, the walks are elevating the pitch count. And that's something that, we gotta, figure out, because we need those guys to give us 5 or 6 innings each start if possible.
Yeah, for Ben, for sure, it's the walks and even just the additional balls within at bats that are even
Yeah.
successful. He's definitely killing his pitch count because the stuff is there. I mean, you
Yeah.
both his starts, you've had people all over social media like, man, this guy's got some stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you're walking guys, you're just not being economical with your pitches. It's hard to get through the innings.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Ben throw more fastballs. To be honest, it's something Mike and I talked about. Like, he got hurt 2 runs on off-speed pitches, and he had a good fastball Friday. He was throwing it right
Yeah.
by him, and his fastball move. It's like a different pitch every time anyway.
Mhm.
Because sometimes it just looks like a wiffle ball. It's going like that.
Well, he
And,
throws from a weird angle too. I mean, he's got that
yeah,
kind of 3/4, not or 5/8, whatever it is.
yeah, it is. It is. So that's part of the process of going from being a reliever, where it really doesn't matter how many pitches you throw, to being a starter where it does. And that's something he's going to have to learn. He's a smart kid, and I think as we move through this, he's got to figure it out, because it's, he's thrown pretty good, but hadn't gotten through 5 innings yet. And so we need him to be able to do that. So hopefully this weekend they'll take a step in that direction.
And Cole Lanford looked really good once he had the clean inning. I think that's
Yeah,
another one.
he did.
As a young guy,
Yeah.
how
Cole's
many
going to be
times did he ever
fine.
relieve before this? Yeah.
Yeah,
So the 2
he
times
had
he
the one
started an inning,
ball.
he's looked really good.
Yeah, he's going to be fine. He's a tough kid. The guy that we got to get going has not gotten off to a good start. That had a fantastic fall for us was Jace Park. He sliced his finger
Yeah.
open in January, and he just hasn't been the same guy since then. And so it's taken him a little while, and we gotta get him on track, because he can definitely help us if he can get himself squared away.
Jace, I will let you borrow. I have really soft, good hand skin. If you want some of this, I'll let you borrow that. Because Jace was phenomenal every time I went out and saw him in the fall.
Yeah, he was, and he was behind because of that. So that's probably showing a little bit now. But he's going to be a guy that'll be there for us, I think.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. But yeah, good road series win for us, moving forward, and we got 4 more road games. That's going to be a broken record, right? This week. And,
I mean, it's not just 4 road games, it's 4 games against 4 different teams this week. That's unusual.
Yeah, that is unusual. You're right. Yeah, so we play at East Carolina, and we leave Thursday, go down the middle, and we got St. Bonaventure Friday, and they apparently have a guy that's a pretty good prospect on the mound. Appreciate Wiz and Jerry Myers lining us up against Friday, the old Monarchs. And then Saturday we got Tennessee Martin, and then Middle Tennessee on Sunday. So, yeah, good weekend for. That's a good park to hit in. Played there a lot when I was at Western Kentucky, and then obviously here we were in Conference USA together. So good offensive park, and hopefully we can take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's one that's got that short left field with the football stadium right there back.
Yeah.
I remember Garriola hitting
right
a bunch up
short
in the
too, yeah.
stands.
Yeah, the ball, if the wind's not blowing in, the ball jumps out of that place. So it's a park. So they're it's early, but there'll be some home runs there more than likely. And then we come back and no midweek games next week. Then we go to Auburn for that trip. So
Yeah,
we're into it now.
there you go.
Yeah, you're into the road warrior status for sure now. I know the East Carolina game is on Wednesday. Any idea on your mind of who may be throwing? If you want to reveal that information.
Yeah. Frankie Wright's going to start. He didn't pitch this weekend. Was the only guy on the board that didn't. And when we got to that certain point in that game Sunday, we just said, let's hang on to Frankie and he'll start and give us, as much as he can give us. And then we'll throw a bunch of guys in the inning probably after that to tune them up for the weekend. So, always a fun place to play down there. They're not off to a great start. I think they're 2-4 going into this game. They're losing 4-2 right now in the 4 to Carolina, but they played, and so, playing them down.
Number 6 team in the country right now, too.
Yeah. They're coming off playing Carolina 3 times, and they've seen some really good arms. So, and we have too. Like the pitching we've seen so far has been pretty solid, good breaking balls. It's interesting how Charlotte pitches for those baseball aficionados. They threw 70% off speed pitches this weekend.
Wow.
When you think about that, that's an amazing stat.
In the modern velocity age, yeah.
Yeah, 70%. And they had some guys with good fastballs, but they threw primarily off-speed breaking balls, cutters, and changeups. So it was a little bit of adjusting we had to do to that for sure.
That should prepare you for quite a bit of off-speed stuff that you may see throughout the conference season as well. Because I think when you think Sunbelt, you think high velo guys, but you never know who's going to throw in that junk baller to mess you up on a Saturday.
Yeah. No, you're right. Hey, I gave the podcast a good plug today. I spoke at the Norfolk Sports Club luncheon out at Harbor Park at the Hits at the Park restaurant, and the average age of those guys is up there. They're some good old boys, man. Awesome to be around them once a year. They asked me to come out there, and I'm really grateful for it. But I said, does anybody listen to the Hudson Homers podcast? I kind of told them how they could get to it and how much fun it is. And there were some guys that said they're going to look it up. So hopefully they will. And, that was good. Old Marty Miller was there, a long time baseball coach at Norfolk State and longtime athletic director. And we were telling some good stories. He was telling me the story about when they built their stadium, how they were on the road the whole year. And he said, man, we just happened to have a really good team that year. And, good players don't care where they play. He said they're good in anybody's stadium. He's great. I love talking to Marty. Yeah.
That's great. Well, hopefully they can get their grandkids to show them how to listen to watch a podcast, and we'll have some new viewers. Because I guarantee we have some good baseball talk they would enjoy.
They would. They absolutely would. They were a bunch of baseball guys, and great questions. They asked the stadium schedule, things like that. We talked about the games this weekend and at Georgia Tech, and so I also explained to them you can also watch it on ESPN Plus. Which is an app that you can get, and it was So,
I explain what the internet is.
I spent a decent amount of time at the Bud last year, taking phones from people, subscribing them on Spotify and on YouTube, and then going into ESPN Plus and setting the alerts for anytime there's an ODU game. So it would just pop right to them, and they could go and do it. Happy to continue to provide that service.
It's a community, man. We want everybody to enjoy it.
A podcast tutorial on how to get to our games, maybe that's what we need to do. So, but it was good. And obviously these are a lot of fun to do. And I'm sure TJ's is TJ waiting on us?
Oh yeah. He's backstage. We're going to bring him on here in just a bit.
Let me say this about TJ, and then I'll let you guys have him. He is a wonderful kid. from an amazing family. Last year, he was having a little bit of trouble with class, and he missed the tarp pull one day and got suspended for the weekend. And we were going through it a little bit, just dirty things. And I brought him back in after the weekend, and we were talking that Monday, and, he had a talk with his dad. And I said, well, what did he tell you? And he said, he told me I need to get my stuff together, and listen to what you're telling me, because you're trying to help me grow up. And I said, you got a good dad. And, in today's world of everybody passing the buck and it's never their son's fault. And, I tell the guys this, the difference between me and your parents is it's hard as a parent to watch a child fail. It's hard to watch them go through pain and struggle and hard times. I care about them in a different way. Like, I'm okay with them failing as long as they're growing from it. And I'm going to put them in positions where they have to. And we're going to make things hard on them. We're also going to love them to death and tell them the truth. And so I'm not your parent, I'm your coach. And that's the difference. And, I think sometimes people have a little bit of trouble with that. But I think any good coach is going to hold the guys accountable, try to help them grow. And, after Friday's game, I told the guys, what this prepares you for, the reason sports is great, as my good friend says, that's why sports is great, is the world doesn't get less hard. You just get better at dealing with the hard times. And baseball games don't get less difficult, less stressful. You just get better at dealing with the anxiety and the stress and all of that if you want to. And if you evaluate it the right way, and if you learn how to stop. See, I always ask the guy, he's like, I was nervous, I was anxious. And I said, well, what do you want? What do you want? Well, I want to do well. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean getting a hit? Does that mean hit? I said, the problem is, the reason you're anxious is you're worried about the results. And you don't have any control over those. What are you doing right now? I got a bat in my hand. I need to get to a good position, get a good pitch to hit, make a good swing at it. The rest of it's not up to you. Because we all know you can hit the ball 100 miles an hour right at somebody and it's an out. And you can catch one off the thumbs and dink it over the first baseman's head. And it's a 2 RBI single. What was the better swing? The first one. The better result was the second one. But if you're going to just judge yourself on results, then in baseball, you're going to have a hard time. And so we got some guys going through that right now a little bit. And I think that's part of the process of, any season is growing and understanding how to get better at handling the hard times. And those are the lessons that baseball teaches guys that are awesome. And, they never leave you once you get them.
Yeah, absolutely. And this will be a season for testing all of those things because you're already starting the season on hard mode, being on the road so much. So
yeah. And TJ's a guy that can talk about it. He didn't play hardly at all the first half of last season. He wasn't ready. And I think he'd be the first guy to admit that, but he turned it around and he really worked and got in there. And he was our leadoff hitter the whole second half of the season and did a fantastic job. I thought he should have been a freshman All-American. And so, I'm really proud of him. He keeps pedaling the bike. He's gone through some growing pains this year as well. And he just keeps getting up off the canvas and putting his dukes up and coming out swinging. And he's going to be fine. I believe in him. I really do.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be talking to him here in just a second. Finny, thanks so much for hopping on here. I know you're a regular guest. Might as well just put you as a co-host now, I think, from wherever you are on the road. But
well, I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's awesome to be here, and you guys are so much fun to get y'all's perspective on everything. Win or lose, I think it's valuable, and it's a long journey, and baseball's just, you got to pace yourself, and you got to kind of stay this way because you're going to have the ups and downs and everything in between. And, it's not like football where you play once a week, and you gotta get ready to come out and do it tomorrow, win or lose.
basically what
Absolutely.
I was trying to tell people the last 2 weeks here. I was like, it's a baseball. You can't freak out about everything. I got Bo in my inbox telling me he's losing his mind. I'm like, man, it's a baseball season, bro. What are we doing
That's
here?
right.
Like, have some heart, have
And
some faith, have some grit.
yeah, and we're playing a really difficult schedule, all on the road
Yeah.
early, and it's going to help us. We're gonna get some benefit from this if the guys will just keep fighting. They're going to be fine.
Absolutely.
All right, Finny, we appreciate you. You take care,
Thank
man.
you, guys.
Tell
Take
Gray
care.
I said hi. I love the kid.
All right, go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.
Go
Thanks,
Monarchs.
Coach.
This episode of the Monarchist Podcast is brought to you by the Pride of ODU Collective. Their mission is to elevate the experience of student athletes through name, image, and likeness, while also elevating the fan experience. If you or your business are interested in getting involved, you can reach out to us directly or go over to theprideofodu.com. That is theprideofodu.com. Thank you for listening, and go Monarchs.
All right. No more teasing. No more talking about TJ while he's stuck backstage. Please welcome to the podcast, TJ Aiken. How's it going,
What's up,
TJ?
y'all? How y'all doing?
What's up, TJ?
How y'all doing? Y'all doing
We
good?
are doing great, man. How are you?
Yeah,
Doing good. Doing good.
good.
Have you recovered from your weekend on the road down there at Charlotte in the varying degrees of weather?
Yeah, I mean, I've been sick all week this past week, just trying to get back right. But yeah, we're getting there.
Just like the Jordan flu game. Is that what you're doing? You're just like, yeah, when I'm sick, I play great.
I guess so. Just try not to be
Yeah.
that way. I mean, I'm trying to get healthy, but just gotta roll with the punches.
Good. There you go.
Yeah, definitely difficult coming back from the sickness and the weather still not fully cooperating. I mean, Coach Finwood was telling us how you all were digging out the bus tires just to get out of the parking lot in Norfolk
Yeah.
to make this trip happen.
Yeah,
that
man.
was-
Like Paige, Finney, Keen, everybody was outside the bus just trying to, like, it took us like 15 minutes to get out the parking lot, just trying to dig out the snow, but we got out. And we got there. I mean, we had some fun this past weekend.
I'd say it's a lot more fun when you. I mean, it's always fun, but it's a lot more fun when you win, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
And I mean, the reality is, I mean, obviously, all kinds of guys contributed, but you were a major factor in the 2 games we won this weekend. I mean, you drove in all the runs on Saturday with a 2-run single, 2-run homer, and then you hit a ball that I think they had to do the replay because that ball turned into dust when you hit it on Sunday. I mean, you destroyed that baseball.
No, I was definitely probably the farthest ball in my life. Yeah.
I mean, that was one where like my dad was, I'm watching the game with my parents, and my dad's like, "Where did that come from with TJ?" I'm like, "The kid's like 6'3". He's getting bigger and stronger this year. Like he's got this big lever. Like there's no reason he can't obliterate baseballs like that."
Yeah.
That was. So does that feel like some hard work paying off on that?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I feel like this is like from the summer, like after the season, my freshman season ended to even now, like just working on stuff, like things like just trying to jump, like get into that power surge, and just but still be able to be consistent at the plate. That's the main thing for me right now. It's just like being consistent, but like also being able to tap into the power as well. So
What did you do during the summer? Because I know you didn't play summer ball, right?
No, I mean I didn't play during the summer. I just went home, worked out with my hitting coach, worked out a lot, try to gain as much weight as I can, and I say fast as possible, honestly, which is like something I've always been solid at, just being fast. So I just wanted to keep that like as I'm gaining weight, because like as you gain weight, you slow down. So just
I know.
I'm aware. Trust
I know.
me. Me and Gary know.
Yeah, so just trying to stay fast, really. But also like working with my dad. Like I love working, like doing lawn care, putting down like my dad probably put down like 25 pounds of sod this summer. I just like doing stuff like that down south, in the heat, sweating, gritting.
Down to earth fella. Look at this
Yeah.
guy. He's just like us, folks. He's a working man.
But
He just
yeah, I
hits
mean,
baseball's 500 feet.
but yeah, like that's really mainly all I did. Is I'm just working on the swing and just making little adjustments to the swing and trying to be better.
About how much weight did you gain, do you think?
Well, I think after the season I was 190, and I got up to 2,
Which is not small.
Yeah. But I got up to like 210, 211
Okay.
during the like during the fall and stuff in winter. But obviously I dropped a little bit before the season started. So maybe like 207 right now. Yeah.
Well,
So
you better be
probably
careful.
I don't know how many pounds that is, but I knew it was a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I'm about to say you tack on 5 or 10 more, and Coach Ronnie might be giving you a phone call to see if you can play some wide receiver or tight end in the fall.
No,
Did you play football in high school? Did we talk about that?
I didn't play football in high school. Like I gave it up.
Yeah.
Like when I was younger, I got some bad ankles. Like I always like roll my ankle. I broke my ankle twice. Now like rolled a lot when I was younger. So I was like, man, can't keep playing. So stop playing.
Yeah, don't necessarily blame you for that, and I think you're going to do just fine playing baseball for the rest of your at least college career, if not beyond that. But well, let's talk through the weekend a little bit. Like Friday, obviously a disappointing loss. You're up early. Charlotte ended up coming back. They ended up walking it off there in extra innings. What was the vibe of the team after that game, and then what was the vibe when you were there on Saturday getting ready to play game 2?
I think one thing about this team is like that's different from last year's team is like the vibe always stays the same. Like the vibe doesn't change. The vibe never changes, win or loss. Like we always believe in each other. We always got each other's back. I mean, that's why the vibe really never changed. Like we went in Saturday, knew like after the game Friday, we went in Saturday knowing we could win. Like once we count on each other and just put our all into it, we was gonna win. Like we could win the weekend.
Yeah, and it was great to see you all bounce back from that because it'd be really easy, I think, to just put your heads down. You're 0-4. You just lost one in the ninth or in extra innings, but to come back and win. How was the bus ride back on Sunday? I imagine that had been a little bit better.
It was amazing, man. I mean, everybody just laughing. I mean, it's good to see everybody just laughing, just like just pressure released off everybody's chest. You know, you can tell on everybody's face, even the coaches, players, everybody. Like everybody was just glad to get that one out the way. You know, just a big series win. So, but yeah, the bus ride was fun back. Very loud, could not sleep, but fun. It was fun.
Sleep when you're home, right?
Yeah,
exactly. I'm just curious if you had a look at Kyle Edwards' eyes when he had that hanging breaking ball about letter high that he just sent to the moon. Were you able to see like how big those eyes got?
Like
I did not see it, but I probably imagine. I cannot see it, but I probably imagine he probably thought he just saw God. How wide his eyes probably got.
Oh, because I mean that was
he hung it.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like I'll be honest. The one that you got, it seemed like it was hung a little bit. Did you have that feeling a little bit?
It was a change up. Yeah. I was like, I saw the spin early, and I was like, man, I'm going to wait a little bit longer. So just saw a little bit early at the end, so just stayed on it.
Yeah, you don't hit a ball like that if it wasn't hung and you saw it pretty early.
Yeah, give it up.
So hitting's not easy, so you got to take advantage when they do make the mistakes.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely agree, Sean.
Little bit of adjustment for you this year. I know last year, second half of the year, you saw a lot in that leadoff role, which is a little bit different than what you've had now. I think you've been batting fifth, and you've hit second in the lineup. How's that adjustment been for you, hitting behind Morales, who has seemed to really step into that leadoff spot?
I mean, I wouldn't even say it's different, really. I mean, I just approach the game the same. Like I feel like scrimmages and like a real game, it's like I don't know, it's like a switch for me. Like it's always been that way. It's just like a switch, like seeing somebody else and like you got your team is counting on you. Like nobody's like no hey, it's win or lose. Like and my mentality, like it's just like I'm gonna say I black out, but like I don't think about anything at all besides just me versus him because you're not wearing the same jersey I'm wearing. But I wouldn't say like it's a change or anything. I think Efren is doing a tremendous job. And hitting behind him is just like, okay, let me hit him in. He's already there. Let me hit him in.
I do always think it's interesting because, I mean, the scrimmages sometimes, like that last Sunday one I was at where Kyle's going up to the plate against Blake. He's like, oh, last one. Like they're talking to each other all through the at-bat. It is different. I think some guys you find, like you said, for some guys it's harder to turn it on in those situations. And some guys, I think, play better there because they're more comfortable. Then when it comes against somebody else, they don't quite match up. It's nice to hear. I think that's the real competitors are the ones who are like, no, it's like now there's somebody else. This guy does not have my jersey on. I don't care about him in his life. I don't care about, his ERA. I don't care about anything he's got. His girlfriend and his mom can be sad for him. I don't care. That's not my problem. Like, I want to get mine.
Definitely agree with you on that. I mean, it's just, I wouldn't say like you can't compete during inter squads, but I'm just saying it's like just a different switch. Like for me at least, it's like a different switch because you're not thinking about like anything else besides you beating that guy in front of you and beating that other team and just trying to compete for your team.
Well, and some days too, I'm sure you go out to the scrimmage. And you're like, well, today we're going to work on this thing. Today it's
Yeah.
like I want to hit opposite field, or I want to go to left field all day long. Whereas, when you get in the game, you might think that, but at the end of the day, it's like I want to put a good swing on this pitch.
Yeah. It's just get on base, hit the ball hard, get on base, see ball, hit ball. It's simple as that.
Yeah, I always try to tell people. That was something I've tried to tell people for years about, like they're in spring training for the big leagues right now, and some guy will go out there and a pitcher would have a bad day, and it's like, yeah, but you don't know what he's working on. For all you know, he was like throwing 85% changeups because that's what he wanted to work on, and he's never going to do that during the year.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't take practice for what it is, and unfortunately, coaches know that. Fans don't ever know that.
Agreed.
Yeah, and Coach Finny was telling us that over 70% of the pitches that we saw from Charlotte over the weekend were off speed, which is kind of crazy and probably a little bit different than what you saw at Georgia Tech. Was that something you all identified like early in on Friday or Saturday, or was it just we're going to be prepped for whatever when we go to the
we go over our hitters meetings like every morning before the game. Like we did it Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember, but like we're just talking about like it's just going to be a lot of off-speed stuff. Their staff is like completely different than it was like previous years because they used to be like heavy fastball team, like because they had some people that could really throw it. But I guess like now they kind of like changed it to like more off-speed heavy to, I guess like just because they don't got nobody that can throw it as hard anymore. So yeah, we went over that this past weekend, before the weekend.
Okay. All right, TJ, I don't remember when we talked to you last point in the season. I'm sure it was later on in the year, but so you've been to some places now. What's the best place you've played at?
I'll probably say Texas State. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Texas State. Yeah. Okay. What was so cool about that? I have never, probably will never be there.
Oh, you said what was cool about it?
Yeah. Like what
the coolest place. Okay.
Was that the worst place? What was Texas State the worst?
No, it wasn't the worst place. I'm trying to think actually. No, Louisiana. Louisiana was probably definitely the coolest place we played at.
Okay.
Just the atmosphere. It was amazing.
The atmosphere. Yeah.
Just the atmosphere. There's a lot of people there, a lot of chanting. I'm talking about loud. Probably the loudest stadium I've ever been into, like to this day. I mean, it was crazy.
Okay. I'm asking this again in a couple of weeks because I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna come down the trip to Auburn and Southern Miss with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like you might have a new answer in a few weeks.
Probably so. Harbor Park was cool too.
Where was that?
Harbor Park.
Harbor Park. Oh yeah, Harbor Park. Yeah. And you had a great day, so that's always fun.
Yeah, imagine that Auburn environment will be pretty wild. And we know that Southern Miss is crazy. Like they bring a boatload of fans. They've got the coop out in right field, which is such an amazing way to take in a baseball game. Basically just back your truck up, tailgate, and you're looking right over the wall there and right. So at least you'll get a lot of those experiences being on the road all season.
Yeah. Yep.
So Coach Finwood told us, you all are mainly doing online classes this semester just to make it easier with all the travel and everything else going on. But I think you're 3 semesters in now at ODU. How is that studying aspect going on these road trips over the weekend?
Man,
just smile.
I probably study like maybe an hour a day, maybe if that. But no, I try to get most of my work done on the bus. Really, like probably try to knock it out before the weekend even starts. Just don't have it, so I won't have as much to do over the weekend, like on Sundays, because I know I'm not going to do anything like Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So I try to knock it out earlier in the week. But I won't say transition's bad or anything. I mean, just stuff we usually do. Like even when like on the road last year, like just still trying to knock it out before we started.
Gotcha. Who are you living with this year? What's in your baseball house?
Talking about this house right here?
Yeah.
Me, Luke Waters, Bryce Jones, Kyle Edwards, and Will Overson.
You got a hell of a house, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Got a freshman in there.
Yeah.
How'd Will sneak?
Will's cool. Will is the funny, probably one of the funniest guys probably on the team, but definitely the funniest in the house. Him or Eddie, it's hand in hand, but it's fun living here. Chaotic sometimes, but fun. Most definitely.
Yeah, I bet. So I know we talked about this at the dinner a little bit, but I don't know how many people actually were able to hear those interviews. But I know you and Teron Ham were both telling me that you guys get along really well. Can you talk about that, about him coming in and how you guys kind of hit it off as friends?
Oh yeah, I mean, Teron is like my big brother, but I call him like little big bro just because he,
Tiny.
But nah, I can't even remember the first time we talked, but I don't know. I think it's like as the days went by, we just got closer and closer and closer. Like just spent a lot of time with the dude. Just like a brother to me, really. But
yeah, that's great. He's definitely a guy we're gonna have to have on the podcast
yeah,
because he is just entertaining.
He
I
is.
know
The
first time I met him was at a volleyball game, and I was like immediately like, well, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, no, he's a character. He is cool as he can be.
Yeah. And TJ, you are the first repeat guest on the Hudson Homers podcast. So I'm sure you'll put that on the wall with the rest of the trophies, but congratulations.
Appreciate it.
When you meet
I'll
people,
put
that's
it right
there
on my wall beside the Drake poster.
There you go.
There we go. All right, well, TJ, we really appreciate you joining us, man. Yeah, you're such a good kid. I'm great to see you have a great weekend. I think again, it's just going to be continuing of the long career you're going to have here. I'm excited for you, man. Just seeing you grow and seeing you perform it's fun. You're a fun kid to watch.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Well, we'll be back here shortly. CB and I are going to talk about a couple of things. But again, TJ, thank you so much. Thanks again to Coach Finwood for joining us today. We'll be back here in just a minute. All right. Well, thank you again to Coach Finwood for hopping on with us today. He's going to be a regularly occurring guest if you haven't figured that out by now. And of course, TJ Aiken taking some time out of a very busy week to join us. They're going to East Carolina Wednesday and then 3 games in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Hope they have good weather there. I know we're supposed to have some good weather in Richmond and I think down in Norfolk too. So something that feels like baseball weather and you're not seeing people's breath on the video.
Yeah, it looked like it was pretty nice there Saturday. I mean, I think it was still in the 50s, but 50s if you have sun, and especially with that turf they have there in Charlotte, look pretty good. So I think here in Virginia Beach it's supposed to be like 73 on Thursday, so maybe they'll be all right out there in Tennessee.
That's shorts weather right there. I am ready for it.
Go from snow to that. That's Virginia weather. Did you have that image that I sent you that we could share and talk about?
We do. Let me get that up here real quick.
I hate to push you in what direction we want to go, but I want to make sure I spent time on it, so I want to make sure that we share it because I messed up and didn't get it done last week because I was traveling.
You're good. This is my fault for not being able to upload it here into StreamYard beforehand, so I'm probably going to have to just share my screen, but that
works too. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Hey, it's all a work in progress. If you want it done professionally, please donate to the Pride of ODU NIL. So they can just pay us to do things. Yeah, maybe you can zoom that in a little bit more. We can get a little there we go. A little bit there we go. All right. So so we got our players. I really didn't ask you, but I think I kind of assumed we had an agreement. So I was hoping this was the correct answers. But yeah, so Dylan Brown, I kind of decided let's go with pitch. I think we said player of the week, but I was like, let's go pitcher and hitter. There's probably most weeks we'll have a pitcher and hitter we can get and choose. So obviously Dylan Brown, I think he was our player of the week last week. So he's the 2-time winner now of for what that again, gonna put this on his wall, the Hudson Homers player of the week. And then TJ Aiken, he was 3 for 8, a double, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and a walk. In 2 games played this weekend, and all 7 of those runs they drove in were huge at the time he did that. So that's our players of the week, and hopefully I get a better picture of TJ where I don't know if he was fouling that off or if he actually just swung and missed. But that's all I really had because I didn't get from the other angle that weekend.
Well, we're going to ignore the logos that are on the dugout behind him and just say, oh, this is from when he went yard last year, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, both of these guys stepped up in a big way. I mean, TJ had all 4 of our ribbies on Saturday in a 4-2 game that we won. And of course, Dylan Brown goes 8 innings. And I think you could make the argument that Dylan Brown should at least get some credit for the win on Sunday because of the bullpen arms that he was able to save by going 8 on Saturday. It's just really awesome for me to see both these guys doing well, but I think especially Dylan, did not have a great start to the season last year. Came on a little bit late and used that momentum to really just come out of the gate on fire. The numbers he's putting up right now, he could have a very, very special season if he stays somewhere around that. I mean, you're talking potential All-American honors. And then, of course, the scouts, I think, are just drooling over him. If he can piece together some more outings and look like this throughout the whole season, it's great for the team. And I think it's going to pay off in a pretty big way for him, too.
Yeah, he's really showing, what working hard and working smart can bring you. He's obviously clearly he's a very talented guy. He's you can't be lucky enough to be born 6'5" and also gorgeous and have a great personality and be super athletic and just amazing. I mean, guy hadn't swung a bat in like 5 years. He goes up and almost hits one over the fence. He's just clearly just physically gifted. But on top of that, like I said, you see the progression year to year. Like you said, he's had his bumps and his ups and downs, and even within there, you saw the talent was there. And now I think you're seeing the results of that hard work put in with, again, he was born, I think, with a great intellect. He's clearly a 4.0 engineering student. The guy's super smart, but he's using that intelligence in a smart. I've known plenty of guys who were smart that weren't good at using it. And so seeing him, like I said, putting the work ethic in, putting that physical talent in, putting the work in, putting the mental work in, and you're seeing the results, and it's leading to, like you said, it's a guy who, you're now talking about, well, maybe he could be pitcher of the year for the conference. Maybe he's an All-American. If he just continues building on the success, and then after that, a highly drafted professional. So it's great. And it couldn't happen for a better guy. I mean, he clearly, he's the best. Dylan's great. Anybody who has a bad word to say about Dylan Brown, that tells you they're a bad person, I think.
Use it as a good litmus test to see who you should be having conversations with.
Yeah, I'm sure he's somewhere along the line. He accidentally stepped in somebody's shoe and didn't realize it just because he has giant feet, and they hate him forever. And that's, that's their fault. They shouldn't have been standing there. Let him walk.
The one ant that's just angrily shaking his fist because he stepped on his friend.
Yeah.
No, and of course, got to know Dylan's family quite a good bit last year, tailgating before baseball games. Just awesome people. Obviously, support him a lot, driving around that RV all over the place to go watch him play. And I mean, he was a pretty highly regarded recruit coming out too. I mean, if you have an offer to Notre Dame, they don't give those out.
Right. If you were committed to Notre Dame at one point, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's saying something. And also to the intelligence piece too, because you could be a great athlete, but you got to be pretty smart to get in there. They've got those academic.
They say that, but there's no way some of the best football players in the country are getting it. It's always like, oh, it's funny how all the best basketball players in the country can get into Duke, the school. That's always interesting to me. Yeah, it's definitely they definitely put their academics first. That's, I'm sure. Okay.
Well, we're talking about the high revenue generating sports here of football, where rules don't matter and you'll change conferences for whatever you want. That's why Stanford's in the ACC.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, but I was just really encouraged by the guys this weekend. Like we know that this team can fight. I think anyone that watched them play last year knows that they are scrappy as hell and they will fight you tooth and nail. They had comeback wins last year. They had crazy things they had to do. And like this year, it's just going to be a tougher version of that, being on the road so much, not getting maybe as many practice reps as you did before because you're spending more time on a bus or weather delayed them working out down in Charlotte the day before the game. It's going to be tougher. And we've got a lot to figure out in the bullpen. I think some guys have emerged after this weekend to potentially be pieces that maybe we didn't really think of as pieces that could come into those high leverage situations. Then you got guys like Bailey Matella and Kellen Davis who are going to do their thing and they're going to get into form. But it's going to be a process to figure out who's the right guy for what scenario. And it's going to take probably until conference play to really figure that out. And it's frustrating as a fan because you see us up 7-1 and then it's a game we end up losing. Like that is really frustrating. And you look at the bullpen, like what is going on? And it's a feeling out process. Like we're pitching differently on weekend series than we even did last year. Like no more opener. It's starter needs to get 5+ and Dylan's case 8+ to go get those wins. And I think it's just, we're 2-4, but we're probably the best 2-4 team. And we're not going to be sub 500 for very long.
We could easily be 6-0. That's for sure. I think what you're going to see with the pitching too. I mean, you saw Luke Ridley got in there on Sunday and didn't look outstanding. And I think he's still recovering from some arm injuries, so I think that's why he's the guy. He wasn't on the trip there at Georgia Tech. And I know I saw Will Orbison in the bullpen. I think kind of warming up. It looked like at one point he was maybe going to come in the game, but he also wasn't on the trip. So I don't know if just because of using the bus, if they just brought more guys, or if some of the guys throughout the week, if they kind of determined that okay, we need to bring them and give them a chance. So I think between, now we have the midweek this week on Wednesday. You might see a few of those guys who weren't getting some opportunities that might get a chance here this week, or some of these guys who were on the weekend that get another opportunity to get those reps in. So you're going to see it work out one way or another. I mean, you're not going to go at the end of the day. They have some very talented arms. They have some very talented players, and they're going to work it out, and they're going to figure it out. And not every game is going to be perfect, but you're going to have eventually where if our starters do what our starters can do, when they're very, very good, we're going to have the right mix of guys who can, most times when we're winning a game, hold it down for us.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see Frankie Wright throw on Wednesday against East Carolina. Like, he pitched really well at Wagner. Like, he had a rough go of it in his first outing against Georgia Tech. But I think he's the kind of guy that, he's got another week plus of getting the arm in shape, getting ready. East Carolina is certainly no pushover. They've got some boppers in that lineup. But he's a guy I think that can come in and take over that Jacob Gomez role, that stopper
I'd also
role
argue that it looks worse than it was because he gave up the grand slam, but really he gave up a fly ball. He gave up a fly out. Yeah, again, as you pointed out, still wins the game, but it wasn't a grand slam. Yeah, that's that their right field there is not a real ballpark.
Yeah, you compare that home run to the one that Kyle hit and the one that TJ hit, and they are
right.
It might as well be different sports with the way that those things were launched.
Absolutely. But I'm with you. Frankie's a very, very talented guy, smart kid, and is a lot of experience. I think you're right. I think he can definitely become a guy that is doing some big stuff for you by the end of the year. Very much like a Brandon Pond kind of guy.
Yeah, feels like a Brandon Pond for sure, which is fitting since that he is now on the coaching staff. And also good to remember, we didn't have Luke for Saturday or Sunday. I mean, the most consistent hitter of our lineup last season was not available. Got hit on the hand. Coach Finwood shared the X-rays all negative. It's just soreness and getting that hand back in good shape. So may not have him for East Carolina, but would expect him to play over the weekend as long as all that healing goes well. So, you're without one of your big boppers. It clears the way for TJ Aiken, who steps up and has a monster 2 games in the 2 wins. You've mentioned this to me before, like, be careful if you end up on the bench for a game because there's a lot of hungry guys ready to take your spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of guys. I mean, Brody Connors. I mean, that was huge. Him coming in, pinch hitting in the top of the 9th when we're down and gets a 4-pitch walk. And I mean, he's a talented ball player. In this case, he played at Mater D, which is a huge program out in California. They're pretty much nationally ranked high school team every year. He's a very talented player. And he said, and there we go. His 6th game, he finally gets in at bat, but comes up big. So yeah. I think Finny kind of alluded to it, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the lineup tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever that is.
It'll be tomorrow for anyone who's listening to this.
It'll be tomorrow for the people listening. I was correct while being incorrect, which is the best kind of correct.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And and we're going to see some former Monarchs this week. We got Alex Boucher has been playing shortstop at ECU, which I think is interesting. They got him playing short. He's had a couple of homers. He not a ton of hits so far, but it's early for him there. He wanted to go play closer to home. We got the head coach at Middle Tennessee is former ODU head coach Jerry Myers. So that's always nice. And then the pitching coach there is former ODU pitcher and former director of ops here, Adam Wisniewski. Wiz, one of my favorite human beings on the planet. And they even have Landon Birch, who pitched for us in 2023, is on the team. I saw he had a couple of appearances for him already. So a few former Monarchs. It's always nice to see some of our guys around and hope they're all doing well.
And nice of Coach Myers to give us that amazing Friday starter for St. Bonaventure to start things off.
Yeah, the Bonnies. Where is St. Bonaventure? Can anybody? I have no idea where that is.
It is in, I believe, upstate New York. Because I know one person that went there. That's all I know.
You could have said anywhere. I would have said sure. That my response is gonna be the same. No matter. You could have been like, it's in Utah. I'd be like, awesome, cool, good for them.
Yes, they are one of the better programs in the A10 right now. I think they continually get sniped by that team that's down the road for me in Richmond in the A10 tournament.
They're good for tournaments, that's for sure.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting kind of test for us, I think. Like, I feel like, East Carolina obviously is really tough. They're every year going to regionals. They are what they are. We have some incredibly intense games with them over the years. It's been
always a good game.
But
can't stand their fans, but it's always a good game.
No, I'm just thinking of all the Twitter interactions. I don't really get on Twitter too much
Really
anymore unless it's to
sad human
promote
beings, I
this.
think sometimes.
Yeah. But there was one. He was like, saw my location was in Glen Allen, Virginia, and was like, "I'm gonna come to Glen Allen." I was like, "Well, good luck," because there's like
Yeah,
250,000 people live in Glen Allen.
pretty big
There you
place.
go.
Have fun. It's a nice town.
Yeah.
Come check it out.
It's like,
It's
yeah,
a lot better than Greenville. I guarantee that.
yeah, but bloody your nose, and we'll go out to grab some beers or something.
Yeah.
But UT Martin's not a team we play typically, but I know that they are usually at least a 500 ball club in the middle. Remember them from the Conference USA days. They're kind of up and down and back and forth. So it'll be good to kind
They're
of
one
mix
of
it
those.
up.
What I remember about Middle the last time I think they played at ODU is they were really good at getting hit by pitches. And I know, and I think it's a whole different coach. I mean, I think, but what I remember is they were very good at being right on the plate and getting hit by it. And they had their second baseman end up getting drafted by the Braves. I saw him later in the year playing pro ball, and I was talking about that. He's like, "Yeah, we were very good at it." I was like, "That's what a weird thing to be bragging about, like how good you were getting hit by pitches." But they really were. They would be right over top of it. But I like I said, a whole different coach years later. I doubt it's the same deal. If it's Jerry Myers' team, they probably pitch pretty well. That'd be Mike with Jerry Myers and Wiz. My guess is they're pretty solid at pitching. Jerry was the one thing he was really, really excellent at was he was good at getting talented pitchers and developing them well. I mean, Dan Hudson is just finishing up a 16-year big league career, and he was Jerry Myers' guy who's had him the whole time.
Yeah, that made me feel really old because Dan Hudson and I are the same class for ODU. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, that's okay when they're talking about like Justin Verlander being so old. I'm like 3 years older than him. So that's cool.
Yeah. I think I just
Rich Hill isn't helping me out. And Rich Hill was like the only guy left that was older than me playing Major League Baseball. And I think he's like maybe still trying to hang on somewhere, but not. So I think I'm out. I think I'm now older than every guy that plays.
Yeah, it's a little disheartening now to watch some of these spring training games and some of the guys that are coming up from, Central America and the Caribbean are 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're just absolutely crushing it. And it's kind of like,
those 2007 birthdays.
You damn kids.
Yep. There you go.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. As far as TV coverage, I know the East Carolina game is going to be on ESPN Plus. I know that our game against Middle Tennessee on Sunday will be on ESPN Plus. I have no idea if the Friday game against St. Bonaventure or Saturday against UT Martin will be on ESPN Plus. Well, I guess we'll kind of find out. There'll at least be a live stats link. I'm sure it'll pop up at odusports.com. But I know we'll watch 2 of the 4 this week.
Yeah, if I had to guess, we probably won't be. That's usually how it goes when they have those tournaments. It's kind of the home team gets the TV, and then nobody else really does. Which it makes sense. You think about from a perspective of are you really gonna, if you're the home team, am I gonna pay all these people to put it on TV and do all this stuff for the teams that it's not my team? So it sucks, but I mean we kind of done the same thing. We have similar situations, so. Hopefully they're on. Maybe there's a radio broadcast, something. I don't know. But the worst case scenario, I always like to. I was saying this the other day to somebody. I said, sometimes you have to take a step back and say, it wasn't that many years ago. The only way I was finding out about the result of a college baseball game was like hoping they would put the result on the website like hours after the game. So the fact that we can even watch a lot of these games is amazing. The fact that we can get live stats of the games is amazing. So sometimes I do have to take my step back and say, okay, it sucks. It's a bummer. I like to watch my team, but it's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, it's tough. And I had this PSA last year. I'll have it again this year. If you're trying to use ESPN or the ESPN app to follow along college baseball scores, just stop. Go to d1baseball.com. They're the only ones that actually have all of the games. And there's no rhyme or reason to it on ESPN. Like it can be 2 Power 4 teams playing each other, and it's not even on the list. Like you can't even see it on ESPN. But you go to D1 Baseball, they have everything. You can sort it by all the conferences. I am not paid by D1 Baseball. I actually pay them for access to their site.
There you go. They do a good job. Their guys know what they're talking about. They do a really good job. I'm also not paid by D1.
Yeah. No, it's a great resource. And honestly, it's just the less frustrating way to get scores. Because I was trying to see what else was going on in the Sun Belt. All of that. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm pulling up D1 Baseball on my laptop while I'm sitting here watching the ODU game.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'm excited for the week. It definitely feels better when you come off a series win. We easily could be 6-0. And I hope the people who were all ready to jump off a bridge because of 3 baseball games or 4 baseball games or have chilled out. That's not what baseball is, man. Baseball is not football where one game is literally like a 10th of your season. We or not even less than that. But it's Yeah, it's not fun when you're losing games. Trust me, nobody. But TJ made a great point. The vibe stayed the same, and I'll tell you, I was there the whole first weekend, and the vibes were the same. It's like, yeah, it sucks. We're not happy about it, but at the same time, we're still going to be us. We're still going to play hard and do the right thing. So it's good to see the guys. The guys believe themselves, even though some of the people didn't.
Yeah, and let's just like put it in perspective here. Like our worst loss this season is 7-3, and we were competitive in that game in the final couple.
It was 3-3 until it was 7-3.
Right. So
and again, I'd argue it was a fly out.
Yeah, and it's also Georgia Tech on the road. Like it's, you
Right.
know, if that was a no-name school from a low major, then yeah, it would be a little concerned if we got swept by them. But I think Charlotte is right in our peer group, like probably competing for the same things. At the end of the year, we went on the road and took 2 out of 3 and 3 really good ball games. All of the games are important. We want to win as much as we possibly can. But like let's be honest about what's going to dictate our season, and it's going to start really March 14th when we go to Southern Miss. When we start that conference schedule, those are the games that you don't want to let those slip through your fingers, because we let a couple slip through our fingers last season. It cost us some pole position when it came time for the conference tournament, and ultimately hurt us. So you know that's when I think you get a little more scrutiny on your wins and losses when you get into that conference play. But until then, it's figuring stuff out. It's how competitive can we be against teams like Mississippi State and a 3-game set at Auburn. Like that crowd's going to be juiced down there at Auburn.
I'm excited. I realized today, I'm like, that's next Friday. I'm going to go down. Like I was like that. It kind of snuck up on me because it really happened so fast. I feel like I was just in Atlanta, and it was just last week. But yeah, so that I can't wait. I'm very excited to see that the atmosphere between that and Southern Miss, and then the game of Biloxi against Mississippi State. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy run for them. So I mean, I definitely would like to see them, go 3-1 this week, maybe 4-0, and kind of pad some wins there. Because I mean, you're going to have to fight tooth and nail for every run and every single out when you go and play those SEC schools. But that's going to pay off.
Hopefully that's the lessons they learned this past couple weekends, is that you got to fight. And like Finny said, we've left some things out there. There've been some, if you're not gritting in, you're not really focusing down and making sure that every single pitch matters, every single pitch counts, and you're getting that best, process possible to get the best result, then yeah. And so yeah, you're right, because you'll need that when you play those really tough teams. And it doesn't get any easier in the Sun Belt. We know the Sun Belt is like one of the top 4 conferences in the country, top 3 sometimes. So it's not getting easier when you get there.
No, you're getting ready for battle with these non-conference.
I think I saw Southern Miss and Troy are both top 25 right now.
Yeah, I saw Troy with a number beside him. I was like, oh shit, they're ranked 2 now.
Yeah, they got some dudes. I've been, because Stephen Meyer from last year's team is just, I still follow him on social media, and so he was good last year for us, sharing stuff. He's a big team guy no matter where he is, and every time he shares something, like, oh man, that guy looks good. Oh, that guy looks really good. Oh, they're ranked really high. Like, so when they come to Norfolk, it's there, or maybe Hampton. I forget where that one's going to be, but I think it's at Harvard Park. But it's not getting any less real, any less tough when you get to the Sun Belt. It's only going to get harder, and those games against the teams that aren't ranked, that seem like the dogs, they're got a poor record. Well, it's still a conference game. I mean, we saw that. You see that in all the other sports. In basketball, that's all the time. Like this team, the men are playing Coastal this week, and we whipped Coastal like a rented mule a couple weeks ago. But I guarantee it's going to be a dogfight for them, because it's a conference game.
Yeah, I mean, across the board in the Sun Belt, like it's just tough to get wins. Doesn't matter what the sport is. I mean, women's soccer found that out. Like there's a lot of good teams. I do want to throw something on fans' radar here before we get too far down into the season. We're going to look ahead to May, because there's like a whole rivalry week that I want to put on people's calendar, especially if you live in the Richmond area or like the Williamsburg area or somewhere on the 64 to 81 corridor. We go to VCU on Wednesday, May 7th, and we go right on up the road and play a 3-game set at JMU on the 9th, 10th, and the 11th. That's one that I'm sure that this team that's going to be a bunch of road warriors this year wouldn't mind seeing some friendly faces at. I know I'm making my plans to get up to Harrisonburg for all 3. Easy ride down the road for me to the Diamond until that is going to be gone here soon.
Definitely looking at hotels in Harrisonburg the other day myself.
Yeah. So I think that's important. And also, we took 2 out of 3 this weekend. If you're putting out a bunch of stuff about how this team's never going to win the game again last week, why don't you shout out some of the guys and congratulate them on a good week? Because they need that fan support because they're not playing at the Bud. We don't have those series at the Bud. They need to know that fan support is still there and still behind them. Obviously, we're trying to do that through our program here and let you hear it directly from Coach Finwood and some of the players. But that team knowing that the fan support is still behind them here is going to be really important this year as they get kind of further and further away from the 757.
Well, I'm looking at the schedule here, and that run you just mentioned. So VCU to JMU, and then a game at Richmond. So right back around. And Richmond, they're tough. Every time we play Richmond, they play. It seems like they probably play their best game of the year when we play Richmond. And then right back into the Coastal Carolina, the last series of the season, which is going to be at War Memorial. So you're still talking about up in Hampton. So again, still not exactly in Norfolk. So I mean that is a nice little stretch there to end the year where, like I said, they need some support, and there's some games you can get to if you're in the Virginia areas, particularly if you're in Richmond.
Yeah, and if you can't make it to those games, put a circle on your calendar for May 15th, 16th, and 17th against Coastal. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, going to be at War Memorial. The cool thing about War Memorial is the stands are a little bit smaller. Like you can kind of get lost with the seats in Harbor Park because it's a bigger stadium.
Mm-hmm.
You can pack War Memorial out with ODU fans and make it absolutely hell on Coastal the entire 3-game series. I know it's across the water. The bridge sucks. The construction's going on. But
it's also
that
a
could be well, it's that weird last series where it's Thursday, Friday.
Oh, you're right.
Saturday.
Yeah, it's Thursday, Friday. You know what? I don't care if it's not a weekend. Get out there. It's worth it. No, and War Memorial is an amazing place to see a game. They actually have a game this year where VMI and William & Mary are going to play at War Memorial. I'm very excited to go to that game because it's just a really good place to see games. So go there to see ODU and realize how awesome it is, and then you realize, I need to go out and see the Pilots this summer because they typically have 2 or 3 ODU guys. Sometimes they've had like 7 guys. So it's just a great place to go see a game. So yeah, go support us and realize, oh man, there's got this awesome baseball over here that I should have been seeing all these years. That's what happened to me one year. I realized I didn't know anything about it. And one year was like Chris Boggs and Jake McAloose were playing. And I was like, oh, you guys are doing something in the summer? They're like, yeah, we're going to the Pilots. Like, okay. And I'm like, well, this place is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the team's gonna have to make sure that series means a whole lot. And they've got a lot of work to do, a lot of time. But I think that's one you can circle. Should have some good weather, great opponent in Coastal Carolina, good team to root against. That is for sure. And pack it in there at War Memorial. So just flagging those so that everyone can kind of look ahead. But a lot of baseball to be played between now and then. A lot of things to figure out even before tomorrow or Wednesday against East Carolina. So, nice to get the get off the schneid, get a couple wins, get back on the right track, and then head out and do it again this weekend.
I can't wait. Looking forward. They got 4 games, 4 opponents. Let's get 4 wins.
Yes. All right. Well, thank all of you for tuning in to Hudson Homers. We will have the hotline number back next week. We'll put that out on social media so that way you can call in with your voicemails, your ups, your downs. We'll play you on the show here. But just thanks again. And if you haven't already, tell your friends, tell your enemies, have them like and subscribe, all that good stuff so we can keep continuing this and spread the word.
Teach your grandparents with the Norfolk Sports Club how to watch the podcast.
Just steal their phone and subscribe them to everything when they're not paying attention. So
there you go.
Awesome. Well, CB, thank you as always. Always a good time. Go Monarchs.
Go Monarchs.
Thank you.